Scottish wind power turns 30 this year. From the first modest array of 14 turbines here at Hagshaw Hill, to some 4,300 across 350 wind farms in Scotland today, producing a record 30 terawatt hours of electricity last year. But the green revolution has not been a breeze for everyone. Residents of the East Ayrshire town of Cumnock say they're now under siege from wind farm developers. These maps, shared by the Cumnock Wind Farm Community Action Group, shows the combination of operational, approved and planned wind farms, totalling 500 turbines within 8 miles of a town of 2,500. Retired plumber Hugh Liggett has grown frustrated that community objections aren't being taken into account. He says locals are being ignored and the cumulative impact of connecting sites is becoming unbearable.
They don't take us seriously, and they're quite happy just to basically saturate us in turbines. Where my cottage is beautiful, but the way it's going with all the planning, there's going to be a complete ring of steel round about us. It's basically like Highland clearances all over again, but not for sheep this time, it's for turbines.
Down the road, former opencast worker John Houston says he's seen firsthand the lengths developers will go to when pursuing land, even if it means ignoring the outcome of previous decisions.
They'll either change the company name, they'll sell the planning to another company, owning, but eventually they'll get their way. It's just happening. Garlaughlin, Grief Hill was rejected for the council twice. They take it to the Scottish Government, get rejected, so that company can't apply for planning permission again. So that's a couple of years down the line, and another company is in for planning permission to build on the same site. And if one company get told no because it's too close to Cumnock, why are they even considering another?
In one case in East Ayrshire, developers purposefully edited out the pre-existing turbines in a planning document to sell the idea to the community before adding the unedited image back into the submitted application. The cumulative impact and saturation point of the wind farms is a chief concern for residents here. In some cases, the best these unhappy residents can hope for is goodwill community fund payments paid by developers. Here, that is handled by the Ning Community Council Fund, investing in public services for the local community. It's the job of Stephen McCarran to seek the best deal for the community.
I suppose the 9cc, in terms of, and I've used the term previously in strength in numbers, we can negotiate these payments for improvements quicker and higher in value than what was previously consented. It should be noted that these community benefit payments are non-mandatory voluntary arrangements, so there's no obligation on developers to pay them.
Stephen admits that Cumnock has probably reached its saturation point for turbines, but hundreds more past approval are still to be built, with several more sites under consideration. This map tool provided by the Scottish Government's nature agency, Nature Scot, helps visualise the potential of new applications, shown here in yellow, to oversaturate the area. Concerns over cumulative wind farm encroachment aren't unique to East Ayrshire. Deep in the Galloway forest to the south, retired engineer Christopher Shaw won his case to deny the construction of wind farms around his home. But he describes how the process took a great toll on his family.
It was psychologically extremely damaging to us because you are faced with big business and they don't really take any prisoners. The wind farm would have virtually surrounded this property and, in my opinion, made it uninhabitable because of the size and the noise and other factors relating to those turbines. In the end, it was defeated because the effect on the Merrick wildland area was unacceptable, but there were many other factors which I think played in the background.
Now UK Labour plans to give the Scottish Government the powers it needs to speed up the approval process for wind farms. The Planning and Infrastructure Bill would free up the Scottish Government to approve new development sites in the Scottish countryside for 4 years. The prospect of faster approval times sets alarm bells ringing for retired music manager Elliot Davies. Now a manager of a leading audio cable supplier, He lives in the shadow of Whiteley, once Europe's largest onshore wind farm, less than a mile from his home. He says the eager construction of 215 wind turbines resulted in a devastating impact on the private water supply, used by him and his neighbours.
So the water stopped in 2007. It came back on a couple of months later. From that moment on until we first realised that we were drinking contaminated water, it was literally until 2013. Unbeknown to us, through, quite frankly, years of headaches and sore tummies, we eventually took some advice and got samples done by East Ayrshire to look at the quality of our water, and they confirmed that it had been contaminated, it had literally been poisoned.
The Scottish Government remains focused on capitalising on Scotland's wind energy potential. A government spokesperson for the Department of Energy and Net Zero told GB News, "We believe that communities should be central to the energy transition, and it is vital that people across the country share in the significant economic and social benefits that will be created as we develop our renewable energy resources. This means ensuring energy developments provide schemes that deliver tangible and long-lasting legacy benefits for local areas." If communities are being ignored, then it's another layer of dissatisfaction and the growing resentment around Scottish Government's net zero strategy. Last year, £380 million was paid to Windfarms to keep the turbines switched off, all because developers are throwing up wind farms faster than Scotland can get a grip of battery storage. The Renewable Energy Foundation, a charity that is taken to keep track of constraint payments, says consumers have forked out over £2 billion to not produce electricity. Scotland has now scrapped its annual carbon reduction targets in favour of a 5-yearly review model, and now we're on track to miss our 2045 net zero target by 20 million tonnes of CO2 equivalent. And for our troubles, Scotland and the UK has some of the highest energy prices in Western Europe. But communities being made to feel like their points of view are being ignored or overlooked is equally pressing. There's a misnomer which labels residents speaking out against wind farms as climate deniers who stand in the way of progress. Collectives like the new Cumnock Windfarms Community Action Group and Scotland Against Spin know this all too well. But everyone who appears in this video tells me they're all for boarding the train to net zero. It's just that collectively, they believe we're going off track, and the journey they've been taken on has descended into progress versus people.
As far as I'm concerned, it seems that we're largely considered to be numpties who really don't understand these things and are therefore inconsequential.
As communities, we're the windmill, we're powerless. The council, they're changing the rules so the council can't stand up to them. So if they can't stand up to them, we've no chance.
They treat us as a lower class, and we don't matter. That's the way that the locals and everybody around about sees it.
They are running roughshod over the regulations. They are ignoring the wishes of local concerns of people who literally live and work in the area.
There's only one last question to tackle. Why is it so surprising that more and more people are left wondering, what's the point in any of this, and why does my voice not count? Tony Maguire, GB News.